recently a friend of mine lent me this guitar, and I sort of wish he hadn't, to be honest with you, because it's going to cost me a lot of money. My mate Stuart from Sunbear has had this guitar for nearly a year, and it's made by an incredible guitar maker called Springer. Now, he is based in France, and it's Springer Guitars, and I've known about him for a while, partly because of Stuart, who's got a couple of guitars, partly because on Instagram I'm always lusting after his latest creations, whether it's a Flying V, or a Les Paul type of thing, or he's got his own thin line Telecaster types, but always with his own twist on the shape. And to be honest with you, the quality of these guitars is something you rarely come across. But putting all that to the aside for a second, I had to make this video because, now look, I'm no bass player, and you heard that in the beginning, right? But this thing inspired me massively. Stuart lent it to me and I didn't pick it up for a couple of days. I was busy, and then one day I picked it up and just put myself in the bridge pickup. Honestly, it's been 2 weeks since then, and I keep coming back to this guitar, and I've even gone to Mikhail and spec'd out one for myself. We haven't finished the spec yet, but hopefully by the end of the year, or near the end of the year, I'll have one of my own. I'm going to go for pretty much the exact same specs because the sound of this thing just, yeah. And I think there's a couple of the specs that really have something to do with that. But let's hear a bit more. In this video, we're in the T-Rock Classic Reverb 100 watt. And in the opening clip, there was a Vemuram Shanks with just a tiny bit of gain. I mean, it would be under 9 o'clock for sure. And a little bit of volume boost. But even parts of the video are going to be without a pedal at all. And that's it. This pickup. Oof. Okay, so I think the key to this guitar, apart from the workmanship, because everyone who's ever tried a Springer guitar of any of his designs just goes on about, you know, he's just doing something super special. I think, you know, I could throw out other names. I don't want to do comparison because it's not fair on anyone else or him, really. He's not asked me to say any of this, but I think Springer is right at the top. This body and neck are made from Spanish cedar. Now, I've only come across one other guitar I know that was made of cedar like this, and that was a Les Paul type made by Probet in the UK for Ainsley Lister. And that's also an amazing guitar. I think it's great that there's still a maple top because I had an all mahogany Les Paul once and I missed the maple top. It was a bit brighter than I would want, a bit more strident. And I think the maple helps to give it the Les Paul character that you're after, despite the backwood being different. So I think the cedar has to have a lot to do with it. You know, obviously any individual piece of wood can be amazing, but from what I've played of cedar guitars, they're often just something really special. I think another part of it is the scale length. Now, I think it's probably Paul Reed Smith who introduced the 25-inch scale length, but there are various small makers who, obviously having seen that, have decided there's something in that, right? I've played quite a few sort of single cuts that have 25-inch scale lengths and not 24 3/4 like a Gibson, and it does give you that extra tension, that extra clarity, the lack of low-end muddiness that can be a problem in a Gibson. Now, that's not to say I don't like some of those traits in the Gibson Les Paul. I do. But sometimes inspiration comes from something else. And having this guitar that has just that bit less low-mid earthiness, I'm going to call it, is great. It just, the tension to me feels great. I am ultimately probably mostly a Fender player. So getting slightly closer to that fixes some of the issue I have when playing a Les Paul. I just feel really at home at 25 inches. The next thing is the pickups. Now, these are the Stewart's own pickups. There's a staple in the neck and a bridge P90. Now, I love his staple pickup, but I've got to say the hero of this guitar is this bridge P90. Now, I'm not a stranger to what I think is a great P90. My own double cut junior Les Paul has a vintage mid-50s P90 in it that is wonderful. But the one in here mixed with this guitar is just one of the best things I've ever heard. It's a real Americana tone. It's got a swampiness to it. Mid-range is just absolutely gorgeous. Whereas the staple has a bit more low end and a bit more scoopiness to it. This has that overt sort of rootsy, lovely, buttery, creamy thing going on. You can tell I'm in love with this guitar. It just sounds ridiculously good, in my opinion, even plugged straight into the amp. So, look, I mean, in a way, it doesn't really matter what the specs are. I mean, for me, it's important to know because I want to order something similar. You know, when you order from, you know, a custom maker, from a small maker, and you don't get a chance to try that exact guitar first, at least I've got the specs that I can work to on this one. But the most important thing to me was this guitar was hugely inspirational in terms of playing. Like, as I showed you at the beginning, I tried a thing with some bass underneath it. I mean, that was just my first try. I don't really play the bass. I just thought I'd plug it in and give it a go. And it's something I'm slowly working towards, as I have done on the channel. It's getting better at my playing and hopefully doing something with it in future. And I'm always looking for something to inspire me now. I find more and more that I play certain things on certain guitars, like on my Dale Wilson Strat, which is tuned into D. I play really Hendrixy stuff, you know, on my double cut Les Paul Jr. with the old P90 in there. You know, I play a lot of clean Delta stuff. And so on and so on. And with this guitar, I found myself playing this Americana-y type thing. And I don't find myself doing it as much on other guitars in exactly the same style as I'm doing on here. And I just absolutely need that in my life, right? So that's why I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah, obviously the music comes from inside, but sometimes there's a bit of gear, it just brings something out of you. So I need to pursue that. So anyway, at the end of the video is going to be some more playing. One of them is with a fuzz pedal, and if you're not aware, I have, and if you're not aware, where is it? Oh, one of the bits is with a fuzz pedal, and it's actually the pink Darlington Flyer, which is currently up for raffle, trying to raise money for breast cancer now. I have a little charity project I do called the Pink Guitar Project, which is for breast cancer, and we've got a current raffle. It finishes on Wednesday afternoon in the UK. And I'd really love to raise, I don't know, 600 or 700 quid. I think now we're the Tuesday, 8 days before that, because I'm about to go off to NAMM. So I'm just making this video before I go. We're at about 300 quid. It's a little bit slow in January. You know, other raffles we've done have raised an extraordinary amount of money, and it doesn't have any reflection on the actual thing itself, how much it raises. Sometimes it's just down to luck and how much exposure I managed to get, and probably I started it at the wrong time. I'd love to at least raise 600 or 700 quid though. It's easily worth that. I mean, the Darlington Flyers on the second market I've seen sell for 700 quid. So I'm sure we can raise that much with a raffle. Tickets are £3.50. If you can afford to buy a few, that'd be great. If you can afford one, that's great. And there's you can find a link in the description of the raffle itself as to where I'll send it. It's most countries, and I'll pay for the shipping. So yeah, go and find that. There'll be a link in the description of this video. But yeah, there's a few different things I'm going to play at the end here. It's just me feeling inspired. I actually filmed that a couple of weeks ago, and I still pick up that guitar and find new things to play. But I love the sound of it, I love the feel of it, and I love the liveliness it's got. And I think that's down to a lot of things. One of them is, as I mentioned, the scale length. Another is the pickups. Another is the wood material. Another is the the way it's made and who makes it. Look at the attention on this thing. This is the last thing I should mention. I'm not going to go for a spec like this. I mean, this is beautiful. This is like some Art Deco masterpiece, right? And it's like furniture level quality, like proper good furniture level quality of build, and with this taut shell inlay and the actual celluloid guard and this amazing green color. Never really seen that before. Yeah, it's gorgeous. But yeah, I'll just play it out if you want to hear more. And I'll currently probably be about to fly back. In fact, earlier today I've got on a plane. I'll be currently on a plane when this is released. I might have to change the date, so this actually came out yesterday. So it's probably going to come out on a Saturday now, just so that I'm actually able to put a comment in when it's released, which I'd prefer to do. All right, anyway, enjoy the last bit of playing, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.
you.